All right, guys, let's do it. WrestleMania 41, night one, officially in the books. And as always, we're going to talk about it here on the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed. Lots of comments so far. Let me try to catch up with what you guys are talking about in the chat. Hope you enjoyed it. I know Keith has been talking about the big turn. We're going to get to it. Seth Rollins wins a fantastic main event in the triple threat. CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. But we know the big story is Paul Heyman and how all of this is going to go from here. We said maybe Heyman was going to make it official. Maybe they were going to drag it out more. They're not dragging it out more. Paul Heyman, low blow. CM Punk, low blow Roman Reigns, and then hands the chair to Seth Rollins to finish the job. And that's how WrestleMania 41 Night 1 finishes here on Saturday. So good to see you guys hopping in. Jump on in. We'll get to everything as we usually do here on the reaction show. Keep in mind, if you're joining for the first time, this is a reaction show. We're not going to review every single match in full detail. This is for you guys. We're going to talk about it. Want to hear your comments. Remember, the best way to get your comments featured is with a super chat, because we're going to have a lot of them coming in, of course, here tonight. So be sure to jump in and do that. Good to see Zoa jumping in. Yes, you called it. A lot of other people, I think, knew this was kind of the direction that seemed to be what they were hinting at with the Rollins Paul Heyman alignment. You can look at some of the promos that we talked about with Rollins. It's just the reason I said I think he's the person who gets the most out of this. Having Heyman align with Rollins was the most probably suspenseful way to go about this moving forward. Gives you the most to work with, I think, in terms of the direction. And they did it in a magnificent way. Someone said it was magnificent. Yes, I agree. It was absolutely magnificent the way they did it. Here you go with this comment here from Dead Man Walking. Yes, I thought it was tremendous in terms of how they did it. And it was still very enjoyable, as Jacob says. Even if you knew it was coming, the way they did it, it hooked you. I was hooked. I was like, this is great. The way they did it, they tied in all of those little bitty past historical things that are always important when you want to tie everything together like this. So, thought it was very well done. As usual, Paul Heyman, just an absolute master when it comes to the facial expressions and all this stuff that Heyman does. So, I think that was pretty good stuff. So great stuff, I think, with the main event. You guys give me your thoughts as you jump in here. And again, we'll jump into some of your comments. Always enjoy seeing some of you guys in here in the chat. I know, again, we don't do these live shows a ton, but hey, it's WrestleMania. We're certainly doing one for this. But Robert, I know always a regular here on the live streams. Was WrestleMania night 1 good? I mean, I think the main event was, again, absolutely delivered in every way. I thought it kind of gave you exactly what you wanted out of it. Elsewhere, I think you had some good matches. I think what we said coming into this, like there were a lot of matches on this card that really didn't have a huge lengthy build to them, maybe. And I'm not just saying on Saturday, but also just, on the full card in general, going into night 2 tomorrow as well. But it was all about the execution. And I thought, having the new champions, we knew that we're going to get the new champs with, the way you had Jey win the World Heavyweight Championship, which we'll talk more about. Jacob Fatu beating LA Knight, I thought was probably going to be the direction they headed in. That's what happened. New Day winning, I don't think was a huge surprise either. We kind of expected that. I do think, as Josh noted here, I think, Charlotte, I thought she was going to win. You guys know in the predictions video, I picked Charlotte. I was like, I just think they're going to give her the title. But nonetheless, Tiffany retains. That was the one surprise I thought of the night. Everything else kind of went according to form. The surprise of having Rey Mysterio out and Rey Fenix in. I thought that match could go either way at that point, but they give it to our friend El Grande Americano, gets the victory in his first WrestleMania appearance. So, but I mean, other than that, I mean, it kind of, again, went as you probably would have expected, but that doesn't mean it was a bad, I think, overall night WrestleMania. I thought it was pretty good, really. Things really picked up, I think, as the night went along. And certainly, I mean, it's really all going to come back to this main event, right? Not every match has to be the greatest match ever. It's all about what are you going to remember, and we're going to remember this main event without doubt. So, you guys give me, we always do this at the start. Give me your grade. What would you grade WrestleMania 41 Night 1? Give me a grade. You can give me a out of 10. You can give me a letter grade, whatever you want to do on that. Always enjoy you guys weighing in with your thoughts on this. So I like this thought here from Brandon. Night 2, it's got Cena, Rollins, The Rock, and Paul Heyman standing in the ring. Now, wouldn't that be something if that's the visual you get at the end of night 2, which, again, I would think there is a good sort of direction of having Cena win. You guys know that was my pick for the match. We'll see how it plays out, but yeah, I think that would be fun. And look, here's another good point. How does Roman Reigns respond to this, right? I think now, look, I like the visual. Think back to how, the match kind of came out, or, everybody came over their entrance. And I thought just the visual of having Roman Reigns standing there looking around, realizing he doesn't have Heyman by his side. He knew he wasn't going to, but once he actually puts himself in that position, how's that going to play out mentally for him, right? And I thought, he did a great job of kind of same kind of stuff, the facial expressions, all that. Like, he was just great at coming out, kind of just really putting over the idea of like, hey, what is he going to do without the wise man by his side? What's he going to do with Ulafala? Like, all those things. And so now, and that it's almost like it's perfect, like the perfect sort of tragic finish here for Roman Reigns, where all of a sudden he gets all that happiness back. And I thought this was one of the best parts of the whole thing. Heyman goes to hand Punk the chair. Then you get the low blow, and Reigns is like, it's that huge sigh of relief, right? Where he's like, finally, I've got the wise man back. And then it happens to him. And so not just Heyman screwing over CM Punk and Roman Reigns, more so Roman Reigns, but not just doing that, right? It's to have that added effect of just doing it after Reigns thought he had him back. Like, oh, that's a gut punch for the OTC. So I think that's going to be pretty tremendous to see how that plays out moving forward. Because again, that was the most compelling thing, right? Heyman just rejoins Reigns. That's not probably the most exciting thing coming out of it. It was all going to be about what is he going to do with just kind of, this idea of not having the wise man. So yeah, I thought that was the really good way to do it. So yeah, so we'll see kind of how they play with this moving forward. But yeah, I mean, I think, by the way, here's the thing too. Like, I still have not watched the Hall of Fame fully. I've caught bits and pieces of it, but I'm going to go back and probably watch that after WrestleMania. Like we said, that was a late start last night, as we talked about yesterday on the live show. But yeah, I mean, they love dropping these little hints, don't they? You got Heyman and Rollins, and like they've dropped so many, lines in those promos too that we talked about with Seth Rollins that sort of hinted at this direction. It was just a matter, were they going to do it now or were they going to wait for it? Like, because it just seemed like that they were going to do it. But yeah, I just think it's, it's kind of one of those where if you are going to do it, like, do it at WrestleMania, right? Like, do it on the grandest stage. Don't wait. Do it on a random Raw, something like that. Like, do it now. And I thought that was the right call to way to do it. So let's get some of your scores here on this. So Jacob's going to go 7 out of 10. Ken says that some of the matches were snoozers. The ending was perfect. Yeah, I don't know that some of the matches hit that next level necessarily, but I think for the most part, I thought as the night went on, things really picked up. And the matches you thought were going to deliver, I thought delivered. And not to say that maybe the others didn't. They just, those were kind of matches that had a different purpose than some of these other ones. So yeah, I mean, Jey choking out Gunther, I can't say I expected that as the finish, that way to end it. So that was a significant one. And again, we'll talk about all these matches in a second, but I'd like to get you guys in your comments right off the bat here to kind of see what you're thinking about on the show. Get an 8 here from Dead Man Walking. Polly's going to go with a C for this one. Brandon's going to give it an 8 out of 10. Jacob's going to go B-, 4 out of 5 here on this one. So yeah, I think, for the most part, you've got some average, above average scores from you guys here. Yep. Shree's going to go 7.5. I like this. So main event, 20 out of 10. I like that. It's a pretty good number, I think, for that. So yeah, but all right, let's get here. We're going to go 8 out of 10. Okay. So yeah, again, mostly you guys are mostly above average, I think, here on the scores. So some in the middle, some a little higher, but that's okay. That's how it works sometimes with these scores. So 6.5, 8.3, we got them all coming in. So Zoe's going to go 8 out of 10 here. Wanted to see some interference, maybe having the Solo getting involved to help Jacob Fatu, costing the match, leading to the I hate you Solo moment. Yeah, we got to get to those moments eventually. And that's where now having Jacob Fatu win this championship, that's going to bring more tension between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. So I think that is without question. That we're going to get to that. So, all right, Tim's going to go 10 out of 10. Let's talk about some other stuff here. But let's start with the main event and kind of talk about this more in terms of where we're headed with all this, right? I know some of you guys have sent in your thoughts about what does this mean with maybe potentially having a scenario where maybe you do tie this into the whole John Cena and The Rock thing, right? And all that. I mean, that's certainly something I think that you could look at as a possibility. And look, I think this is a great point. We talked about this, right? That the whole best for business line that Rollins threw in here. It's a great comment because everyone's kind of tied that in, right? Even the Drew McIntyre stuff. Remember, we mentioned like McIntyre kind of being a wild card in this whole thing, whether it's going back to the selling your soul thing with The Rock. We're like, okay, if it's not Cody, which we knew it wasn't going to be, if it's not Cena, then obviously McIntyre's someone that would make a ton of sense. But they go that route with Cena. You've got McIntyre tied in with The Rock now, and this whole thing we mentioned about this whole training collection, Project Rock, and all that. Like they've always been connected together. So you could absolutely form, something here where you just get all of these guys tied in together. And having Paul Heyman, who we know was originally connected with The Rock last year during this whole build to everything, man, like that, there are so many ways you can go with this. And I think that's where who's opposite them, right? You've got Reigns, you've got Cena, or excuse me, you've got Reigns, you've got Punk, you've got Cody. Like you've got all these different options to kind of oppose these guys. And so it does make for a pretty interesting, I think, dynamic moving forward with all this. So, yeah, I mean, just think about the possible team, right? These guys all aligned together, all with the common goal to do what? Like basically to have the power and to protect WWE. I mean, that's kind of what these guys are, right? Seth Rollins felt like he was protecting WWE from CM Punk. That's been one of the big lines. And he tried to convince Roman Reigns to come to his side with him, but Reigns would never listen. Reigns was too stubborn. And so Rollins said, you know what? You're not going to listen. I'm going to do it to you again. And at some point, by the time Reigns retires, maybe he will learn, right? But that's just always been the story between these two for years and years and years. And we know the reason, maybe not all the way just yet. I think we're going to hopefully learn more about the whole Cena and Rock connection and all that. We know what happened, but they haven't talked about it as much. But as I said, I do think we're getting The Rock back tomorrow. So I think you at least have something to kind of come into play here with The Rock and everything with that. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely something that you're going to have as a possibility. So, Brandon's talking about, hey, we're already speeding ahead here. You start to look at the championship picture now, where you possibly have these potential matchups where, all right, Seth and Jey, how to now talk about the history that ties in there, right? With Paul Heyman and all these things. All right, that's another option you have to work with. Obviously the Cody stuff. Cody's connected to everyone. Whether he wins or loses tomorrow, he's connected with all these guys. So there's plenty of stuff you can do with Cody and tying into all this. So yeah, I just think that's going to be pretty exciting to see how it all goes with that. So, all right, let's talk about some other stuff here. I'm going to do what I usually do with these guys. We'll quickly run through the rest of the card, and then we'll kind of tie everything in at the end. Get your questions, comments, all that. Remember, if you want to make sure I get to your comments, you can do that by leaving a super chat. Leave one of those. You don't have to. I can give you 50 cents if you want. But that's all you got to do to make sure you get your comments seen here on the channel. But let's quickly run through some of the other matches. We'll start with Jey getting the win over Gunther. As I said in the predictions, this was the only option. Jey had to win after everything they had done with Gunther destroying Jimmy and all this stuff. Yeah, Jey had to win. There was just no other option here. And so not surprised. I think Jey has absolutely earned it. I know not everyone thinks he's the best wrestler. Triple H has said many times, hey, and we've said it before. When Jey won the Royal Rumble, I know I did the video and said, hey, I get it. I get some of the criticism of Jey. Absolutely understand. But I also know that if you're thinking of it from WWE's perspective, I mean, just look at the arena. Every time this guy's in the arena, and I know Jay's talked about that in interviews this week. I get it. I mean, that's wrestling, right? You just got to be able to sell tickets and sell merchandise. And Jey Uso, I think Paul Heyman said it in an interview he did, like what, top 2 in the company, something like that. Like he's on another level. So good job, Jey Uso, getting the world championship win. 15 years in the making. I mean, look, the Uso started what, 2010, Florida Championship Wrestling back then. So yeah, I mean, Jey gets the win. Not surprised by that. And now you see how Gunther comes back. Because Gunther's not just going to stop, right? He's not just going to stop chasing the championship. He's going to try to get his title back. So what happens in the rematch and all that? So, and quickly, before we keep going on, this is what I was going to bring up too. We were talking about the predictability of this night tonight. I'm telling you, I think this kind of feels up like the setup night. I feel like the end of this one, WrestleMania 41 night one, Saturday night, I feel like is the setup for what tomorrow is going to be absolutely wild because you've got a lot of different possibilities. And we're going to address that here in a few minutes. Once we quickly run through these matches that took place, we're going to address tomorrow night because I've got some pretty big ideas that we could see unfold tomorrow night. So it's going to be pretty good. All right. So Jey winning, again, not surprised. I think it was the right call. Reward Jey. And I just think that's the way you go based on everything, the way they built it up. Was it a classic match? Probably not. But hey, Jey wins, get the moment with Jimmy. I thought it was all nice and good to have that. And, just from a wrestling perspective, it made sense. Okay. Elsewhere, as we look at this, New Day defeating the War Raiders. Thought that was going to happen too, right? And we said, could you get Big E, something like that, possibly coming out of it? Maybe, maybe not. And so nothing with Big E. New Day win. Now they've got their titles. Like I said, this was another one that was kind of building towards the title change. We kind of expected it with the way that they had kind of built us up. Now you get the New Day a little hot again, right? Like after that whole build and everything that happened after the turn on Big E, kind of, sort of just being there, waiting for this opportunity, and now they get the championships back. So thought this match was about what you expected. New Day gets the win. Now you got a little bit more, I think, an interesting story to tell with them holding the titles. Who's going to eventually take them from them? Those are all questions that we're going to have to work with on that. Jade Cargill getting the win over Naomi. You guys know I talked about it. I said, hey, I wouldn't mind seeing Naomi get the win here. Kind of really push forward this new sort of, direction for her. But I said, it's Jade in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. I don't think she's losing just yet. And that didn't happen. And so I thought they did, nice job. Good match, I thought. And I just think Jade, she's the star. And I think they're going to completely sort of build towards that big one-on-one with Bianca at some point. How quickly we'll get to it, don't know. Maybe another year from now. Maybe WrestleMania 42 before we get to Jade versus, Bianca. But for now, Jade losing one-on-one at WrestleMania, I just didn't think was going to happen. So they can still do plenty with, Naomi moving forward, but I was fine with Jade getting the win here just because I thought that was probably the way they would go. So, all right, Jacob Fatu, we talked about him a lot here on the channel. He's one of my guys. Jacob Fatu has been fantastic, and he finally gets rewarded with the United States title. And like I said, another one that just, I think if you connected all the dots, unless you had something with Solo here, as Zoa brought up earlier, it was just going to be a situation where, you were going to have Jacob Fatu. You're not going to beat him one-on-one. Like, LA Knight's just not going to beat him straight up. That wasn't going to happen. So the only way he was going to lose was if you had Solo in a position where maybe Solo screwed him, Tama Tonga, something like that. It didn't happen. So Jacob Fatu winning, the right call. And now, even though some people say, all right, United States title is that little, maybe feel lesser than for Jacob Fatu, I don't think so. It's just the starting point, right? And we know what they think of him. They have protected him as well as a lot of people, period. And I just think that's definitely something that they're going to keep doing that with Jacob Fatu. So he gets the title here. They'll play that into Solo and Tama Tonga moving forward. We'll see what happens with the bloodline and all that. By the way, Dante was in the crowd. Just left the arena. Great atmosphere tonight, he says. So good stuff there. Yes, if you're checking in, if you just left the arena, let us know what you thought, how things went there. And always love to hear the feedback for people who were there. So be sure to weigh in the comments. And we'll be sure to get back to that shortly. So, all right, we're almost through with the rundown here. Then we'll get to everything else you guys want to talk about. El Grande Americano, who is not Chad Gable, defeated Rey Fenix earlier. It was announced that Rey Mysterio was out due to the injury on SmackDown. And so Fenix replaced him. I thought there was a chance that Fenix would get the win here. First WrestleMania, we talked about, think about the moments for, like a Jacob Fatu and, those kind of moments we saw on this show. Thought maybe one-on-one singles match, Jade gets a big win, Jacob Fatu gets a big win, maybe Rey Fenix, a new addition, gets a big win. But I'm kind of not surprised that they may have, who knows? Maybe that was the original idea, was that Americano was going to get the win, but I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I wonder if maybe they were going to, push a little thing forward if Rey maybe got the win, which that was my prediction, but not sure. I was just wondering kind of how they would play this out with the substitution, but I think it was probably made more sense for Americano to get the win, just because you want to save the stuff with Rey. So you can't unmask him or anything like that, right? Rey Fenix wasn't going to unmask him. So, I think that's something to look at there. So, all right. So that was, I thought a good match. Those two, hey, give me Americano and Ray Fenix a lot. And by the way, of course, that ties into the big story of the day, which you guys, if you didn't see it, WWE buying AAA, Triple A, however you want to say it. That was a huge story. And we will talk more about that to come because that is a significant story in the world of wrestling with WWE acquiring that. And you're going to have the Worlds Collide show with NXT as well coming up in June. So that was a significant announcement there. So Vikingo got involved in this match and all that. So we'll talk more about that moving forward. But you guys keep weighing in with your thoughts. And again, we'll jump back into the comments here shortly as we wrap up a couple of these quick thoughts on the matches. We always do that here on the Reaction Show right after the PLEs. And then we do talk about Tiffany and Charlotte. It's the only match we haven't gotten to yet. Yeah, I mean, somebody have to tell me, and I haven't looked at Twitter or anything like that here in the last little bit, but that was a hard hitting match. And it looked like Tiffany chipped a tooth or something like that. She had the big knot on her kind of spot on her forehead. So yeah, these two really went at it. I like the fact that they sort of leaned into the personal nature and the way things have gotten with this rivalry and all that. So I enjoyed this. I thought this was really good between these two. Yeah, I mean, I thought they did a great job, and it was a surprising finish for me because I said I thought they were going to give the title to Charlotte. Was a little surprised that Tiffany got the win, but overall, I thought they did really good match, and I think it just kind of shows you that Tiffany is certainly someone that, man, when she gets going in the ring, like she is, there's a reason why they have put all this on her so early because she's got it all. So I thought she was great, kind of playing up the knee stuff with Charlotte. I thought was a great sort of, twist in that too, to really push that idea that Tiffany's not afraid to go after Charlotte's knee because of the, again, personal nature of this whole thing. So yeah, I thought they did a really good job with that one. A little surprised by the fact that Tiffany retained, but we'll see if the Queen gets that championship at some point in the near future, maybe this summer. So there you go. There's some quick thoughts, as always, running down the rest of the card on that. But let's get back to your comments here. Lots of you guys jumping in here. So if you are jumping in for the first time, do me a favor, hit that like button as you're in here right now. Also, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications when we do these live shows. As we've said, we're going to be doing more of these moving forward. We'll do one tomorrow night as well after night 2 and all that good stuff. So, all right, let's get to some of your questions. If you have any questions and or comments, you want to make sure I get to them. As I said, Super Chat's the way to go. But let's talk about some of these things that you guys have brought up. So, another development we had in terms of a replacement on a WrestleMania card, not tonight's, but tomorrow's, Bayley is out of the Women's Tag Team Championship match against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And so, who is going to replace Bayley? Well, Adam Pearce gave Lyra Valkyria 24 hours to find a replacement. Who could she find in that time that's going to replace Bayley? Well, I've got a possible answer. And so does Ralph here, because I do think it's a great possibility that we are going to see the return of Becky Lynch, perhaps to team with Lyra Valkyria. That seems like one that, you almost think, was this the original idea, right? To kind of play it up this way, because we said this was kind of a thrown together team and all that stuff. And if you want to push the story, right, it makes sense that now you've got something to work with Bayley coming out of this, especially if, let's say, Lyra and Becky were to win the tag team titles. And again, assuming that it is Becky, I think, which is a probably high likelihood that that's going to be the case tomorrow night. But you've got to wonder, what does that mean for Bayley? Like, does she come back with sort of who attacked her, right? She's going to point the finger at Becky, like all this other stuff, because we didn't really find out who attacked Bayley. She had no idea. So I think there's a lot of ways you can go with this. But I think you've got to assume that partner is going to be Becky Lynch. I would say that is the first, second, and third choice, because of the connection with Becky and Lyra. Remember, they had this sort of exchange before Becky walked away. And so they've left that out there for a while. And you always knew probably when Becky came back, it was going to be something with Lyra just because of the past history and the connection and all that. So I think we got to be ready for Becky to make her return. All the rumored possible returns, right? I think she is someone who's got to be in that category. I know some other people have asked about Randy Orton's opponent, and we didn't get that officially announced on Friday night. We said we didn't know if that was going to happen on SmackDown. They went the way that I said I would probably much more prefer, and that was the route of the open challenge, right? Having anybody come out. Orton was kind of pushing it in the promo on SmackDown. He said, give me anybody. Don't matter who you are, anywhere in the world. Come and find me. I'll be here in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday night. So I like that idea with that for sure. So I think, to me, the top choice is Rusev. I just think that he's probably the person who gets the nod here. But you never know. When you have these open challenges, it could be anyone. They could have another huge surprise waiting for us. But to me, Rusev makes the most sense on that one. So that's going to be my pick for the replacement there. But Brandon asked, Blake, what do you personally thought of Mania so far? Like I said, I think tonight's show on paper, look like the lesser of the two, right? I think tomorrow night, certainly when you look at the card, my goodness, you're starting off with a triple threat for the women's title. You've got that 4-way Intercontinental Championship match, which I said could be the match of the, Mania weekend, although so far it's going to be hard to top the main event tonight. That was just a tremendous main event, and we're going to talk more about it in a second. But, McIntyre and Priest, say what you want about whether we think that Priest is, someone who should be wrestling McIntyre at WrestleMania, but I think they're going to deliver with a street fight. That should be great. I mean, even the women's tag now, if you do have Becky involved or something, that all of a sudden the stakes are raised there. AJ and Logan Paul, I think, will have a great match. Then, of course, you got the championship match, right? So tomorrow night's card is just loaded from top to bottom. Not to say that there weren't good matches on tonight's card, but I just think you were always kind of setting it up for tomorrow night being the night of WrestleMania this year. Whereas, some years it's felt a little bit more spread out, but, like we said, you can call it predictable, whatever you want to say, but the story is connected to where you were going to have the title changes tonight that weren't as maybe suspenseful because we figured they were going to happen, except for, like I said, I thought the Charlotte one may happen, but nonetheless, I think tomorrow night on paper looks to be the better of the two nights. So we'll see if that's how it plays out. But I enjoyed tonight's show. Like I said, I thought to me, if you're looking at how did you feel at the start versus the end, I thought it was one of those shows that sometimes, you have the, big highs early, dips a little bit, comes back up, right? I thought it was kind of one where it just maybe started, right there at your normal baseline, and then it just keeps going up as you go throughout the night. I felt like that was kind of the way that it went tonight. So, but again, everyone's going to remember the main event, and that's what they should remember out of the show because it was that good. So, all right, let's talk more about whatever you guys want to talk about with some of this. And Javion asks here, how many interference do you think there's going to be in the Cody and Cena match? I don't know if we're going to get as many as we got last year, but there's going to be some. And that's where, like, people are saying, hey, do you tie in sort of the Rollins, Heyman stuff and all that? Not sure. But we know, at least we think we know, The Rock's going to be involved somehow. Travis Scott's probably got to come out. Cody's got to get his payback on Travis Scott. He's probably going to give him a wallop right across the face, I would think. So you've got to have those, right? And we mentioned the possibilities. Okay, you've got The Rock. Does Stone Cold Steve Austin somehow get involved? I'm not as convinced on that, as I was last year, because last year it made more sense. This year, you could still do it, especially knowing that Austin is there. But we'll see, right? And that's where, like we said, now if you're adding, Javion adds here too, yeah, I mean, you add Seth Rollins to the mix. You have something that plays out there because, what also could be tying it in, like we said, if somehow all these lines, best for business, the business dies, all this other stuff, like Rollins has been saying, coming out of this main event tonight, now aligned with Heyman, knowing Heyman has the ear of The Rock and all this stuff. I think, you've got the possibility for lots of interference. I don't think you're going to just get a straight up match, right? That just isn't going to happen between Cody and Cena tomorrow night. So, and I feel like, I guess that can be a good thing and a bad thing, where you've kind of trained people to always be looking to the entrance to see who's going to come out. But it's okay. I mean, again, it is wrestling, right? Come on. Part of it is the theatrics of it all. And so I don't mind that. I don't think everything has to be just perfectly, polished and explained. I think sometimes you just have sort of that. It's wrestling. You're going to bring out some of the theatrical elements, and everything's fine when you do that. So, But Corey asked, can you see Cody actually retaining? I just don't think so at this point. And can I see it? Of course it's possible, right? I just think the way they've done it, I think Cena has to win. And it's just the way they built it up. I mean, last night, right? What happens again? Cody leaves Cena laying again. Like that's happened multiple times now. And so, Cody, I thought, got the best shots in on Cena last night in terms of the promo exchange. That's happened numerous times now, I feel like, in these that they've had. I just think it's got to be Cena winning. I think that's, like we talked about, what's the most interesting thing coming out of this? Well, tonight was a perfect example. Rollins winning and aligning with Heyman was the most must-see way you could have done this tonight. And so tomorrow night, what's the most must-see thing? I don't think Cody just beating Cena is the must-see thing, right? I think it's Cena winning, and then it's like, oh shit, like what happens next, right? Like, Cena got the title. Now what? Because then we're thinking ahead, and we're like, well, depending on how it happens, if The Rock's involved, like you said, Rollins is involved and all that. I mean, yeah, like I think that's where, there's so many more interesting possibilities with Cena, whether it's Randy Orton next month in St. Louis at Backlash, whether it's CM Punk, like all these things you can do. And that's where, like I said, I could certainly see, if we're talking about interference and wild card possibilities for tomorrow night in the main event, I think that's where Drew McIntyre to me comes in. I think, do they want to tie him into this? And if they do, maybe that is kind of your lasting visual where The Rock's got the power and he's got the ear of all these top superstars. And then it's like Cody's not just having to overcome The Rock at that point. He's having to overcome all these guys. And, that's another story you can tell with Cody moving forward. So, yeah, hey, I'm with you. I think, The Rock screwing Cody again is not the worst choice here. I think because that keeps that story going. And, it also kind of just looks at the way it, it probably moves forward in terms of the story. So, yeah, that's my thought on that. So, all right, guys, a little reset here. We're about a half hour into the show. If you're jumping in for the first time, hey, I appreciate you watching. Leave your thoughts on WrestleMania 41 Night 1. If you enjoyed the show tonight, if you didn't enjoy the show, let me know. Yeah, we'll have a lot of fun with it. And again, go back. We've been talking about Night 1, some possibilities for Night 2, all this other stuff. We will see how it plays out when it comes to this. But yeah, I think it's going to be kind of, a lot of fun to see where we go from here with Rollins and Heyman and all that. And by the way, if you're watching the press conference, I am not. So you may be able to give me some insight, anything you see. Sometimes we know they'll shoot some angles after the show and all this other stuff. And we're not watching right now. We're doing the live show. So not seeing everything on that. But yeah, but let's talk more about everything here. Zoa says, Rock said he's always 20 steps ahead. Why would he easily align himself with Cena? I think this ends the Cena Rock versus, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways, like I said, you can go with this. And I think that's where, like, the whole Rock thing, I don't know. Like they can convince us it's been going on for months and months and months in terms of the way it planned out and all that. And sure, that could be a possibility. But there are times where it does just feel like it is a on the spur of a moment type thing where he comes in, they do it, and then whatever is next, we'll figure it out from there, right? Because I've always said it's The Rock. If he wants to come in and do something, like The Rock's going to come in and do something. And that's okay. I mean, he's the biggest star in the world, right? So he can come in and do what he wants. But, I don't know how long this has been planned out. And then, we can go back to Bad Blood and talk about the hand signals and all this other stuff with Cena, and maybe. But yeah, I just think that's something that could happen. So, all right, let's talk about some other stuff here. Yeah, Ryan says the heel turn for Paul Heyman. Heyman always sells it so well, and you can tell kind of the way they've been playing this up. It's sort of was Heyman going to choose Punk or was he going to choose Reigns? Well, it's always the one you're not seeing, right? It's the one that they're not adding to the conversation, and that was Rollins, even though Rollins was trying to tell us. And that's what I said going into it. I'm like, Rollins could have hit the stomp on Heyman. He could have hit him with a chair, and he stopped both times. And that's where the whole favor with Heyman came in, and that's where Heyman realizes, you know what? Seth's right. He's the one that will kind of, he's more worried about the business. He's more worried about me. Meanwhile, Punk and Reigns are just worried about one-upping each other, right? Like they're just sort of, in that fight with each other. And like I said, I think that was the best way to play it out there. So, yeah. So, okay, Jacob says Tiffany did ship the two. They look like it, right? And so, boy, Alan going chippy time. Oh, boy. I don't want to laugh at that. But it did look like she took a bit of a shot there in terms of the tooth. And you could tell just from the way they were shooting it. Yeah, you could pretty much tell that there was a bit of a chip there. And again, she had the spot too on her forehead whenever that happened. And that. So, yeah. Yeah, Dre, good point here too. You got to know that Randy Orton's going to main event that Backlash show, and so it's like tonight. How does tonight play into that? How does tomorrow play into that? Because, like we said, no matter who Orton's opponent is tomorrow, you've got to think he's going to be in that main event at Backlash, and that's where do they do Orton versus Cena potentially there? They could do Orton versus Cody, of course. Then we could finally get to that, although that would feel pretty quick, I think, coming out of WrestleMania to try to do that match on 3 weeks' notice, which maybe is another reason why I would pick John Cena to win tonight or win tomorrow night. But yeah, I mean, you've got to think Orton's going to be in that main event, so he's got to have a big match. That is St. Louis, and probably you may not get another one of those opportunities really throughout the rest of Orton's career to have that kind of setup next month at Backlash in St. Louis for Orton. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be good stuff, and I like how when you tie in these hometowns and all that, especially in this kind of a year like this where you've got Cena's retirement tour and all that. I mean, you're going to do Orton versus Cena again, probably. Why not, right? If that's a possibility. So, yeah, I thought Tiffany Stratton was great tonight, and I think that's why she just continues to, like I said, I can see why they kept the title on her. Could have understood why they would have given it to Charlotte, but hey, I mean, again, also, did anything change after the whole promo exchanges between these two? Like, did they decide to make the switch? Who knows, right? Maybe there was some of that. We'll never know, but that is something I think to certainly consider. All right, a couple more things here. By the way, Merce Dave asks here, anyone know why Luger wasn't there for the holiday? I was asking that same question. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anybody, adding any thoughts on that. But yeah, everyone was on the stage for the Hall of Fame, kind of, flashback that they do, and they bring everybody out and acknowledge them and all that. Yeah, Luger wasn't there, and I'm not sure. I didn't really see anything as to why that was, but I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. So Ricky asks, coming out of tonight, do you see Seth versus Roman at SummerSlam? That's certainly a good direction I think you can go in, right? And that's where, we've had the couple matches with Punk and Rollins, which I would think you're still going to have some of that, right? You're going to have another match probably between those two at some point in the near future based on how this played out. But yeah, you could certainly see that this is where it's going to get interesting, right? Because we're used to seeing, okay, what happened last year with Reigns after WrestleMania? After he lost, what happened? He went away for a while, and he's not working Backlash next month, probably. So it's like, when are you going to have that next big thing for Reigns? And I mean, SummerSlam probably makes a lot of sense. It's just, do you do the thing again, though, where he goes away and you're just waiting for him to come back? Like, is that what you do? I don't know. Like, that's certainly something to think about. But yeah, I mean, we know we're getting a one-on-one match out of this, probably with both parties, right? Rollins and Punk again, and we know we're probably getting Rollins versus Reigns, maybe one final time. Maybe that's the tagline, where this may be it. Like, somebody's got to be destroyed forever after this match, because, how many more times are you going to get to tell this particular story with those two based on how this thing finished tonight? So, yeah, I think that's certainly something that we're going to kind of see. And I think that's probably one of the early front runners, you would think, if you're talking about what's the direction going to be for both guys several months down the road. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. That could certainly tie into it, but I think, yeah, that's certainly a possibility for sure. All right, now let's look at a couple more comments here. All right, here's an interesting one I thought. So Red Wing says Stand and Deliver was better. So I'll tell you, I was hyping up Stand and Deliver coming into tonight. You guys know that yesterday. If you watched the live show, I was hyping it up. I said, if you're not watching NXT right now, I think you need to be watching, especially with the show that they could have on Saturday morning, which it was an early start, right? For people in the States, but it absolutely delivered. It was a tremendous show. And I keep saying, I'm going to say it again. You got to watch NXT right now. I know some people kind of fell out of it. Maybe this isn't the style you're used to back in the Triple H era and all that back in the day, but there's a lot of good stuff going on in NXT. I would highly recommend check out that show, the Triple Threat main event, as expected. I knew those guys were going to bring it. Obafemi, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, great stuff. And just, yeah, I thought really, really good stuff across the card. So check out NXT. Stand and Deliver was, really, really good, I thought. So we might, as we said, we're going to do should get a chance to do a reaction show today. We may talk about that show, though, in the next couple of days here on the channel, that kind of stuff. So, all right, let's see what else we got here on that. So, yeah, there you go. We have that triple threat between Seth, Roman, and Olmox. Are we going to get that one day? Wasn't there, did Rollins may have brought up Mox when he was talking to Reigns. He was trying to make the convincing argument to him in the ring or whatever. Thought I heard him say something like that. So that may be a possibility. But Ken Dog here wants to know, what about Jey going to night 2? Call out the winner, Cody Cena, get a little title unification. I will tell you, I've always been a big fan of just having the one World Championship / WWE Championship. So I would not hate a title unification at all. But I know I understand why they have 2 world titles, right? But yeah, I mean, I think Jey, it gets a lot more interesting now with Jey because, again, depending on what happens tomorrow night, and now that we've had these big sort of developments with Rollins and Heyman, and now you've got Reigns out there by himself and all that other stuff, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff now you can do with kind of adding Jey back into the mix here, but you also could just simply keep Jey in his current spot. He's got a rematch waiting with Gunther. There are other people he can defend against, right, coming out of this. So there's a lot of, and we said Rollins. I mean, Rollins would make a lot of sense. Rollins, there you go, check 1, get back at Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Cross that one off the list. Check 2, get my World Heavyweight Championship back, right? So maybe that's what he's going to go for. And that would be huge, right? Because you want to talk about now the way the crowd's going to go. Now you've got Rollins and Heyman joined together. You got Jey, the guy who's, everybody's yeeting out of their minds in the building. So it'd be quite a dynamic, I think, with that. So yeah, we'll talk about that. But all right, let's see what else we've got here. I know Jey versus Gunther was not everybody's favorite here. That's for sure. Black Circle going to weigh in on that. Yeah, I mean, I thought the tap out was a little surprising. I didn't expect that, I will say. That's a bold move. I was not expecting it for Gunther to tap out, but he did. So, all right, let's see what else we've got here. Corey wants to know, can you see Naomi costing Bianca the title match tomorrow night? So you asked that, and Robert, surprisingly, right afterwards with the comment, I think you could see that kind of play out. Maybe that's the difference, right? I think Bianca wins tomorrow night. That's one where I would be surprised if she doesn't win. Now, they've kind of played it up to where Io is kind of, I don't want to say an afterthought, but the way they've just kind of shoved Io around in this whole thing, I feel like she really needs to win. But I think the Bianca streak at WrestleMania and all this other stuff, I don't think you want to end that in a triple threat match. And that's where, like, you can use that to build up to a future big one-on-one match with 2 people, right? With Rhea and with Jade. And so to me, you want to keep the Bianca streak going and not have her lose it in a triple threat match, knowing that you still can use that for the Rhea match and the Jade match in the future, especially potentially at a WrestleMania. I mean, you could legitimately like headline WrestleMania 42 and WrestleMania 43 with those 2 matches if you wanted to on one night. That could be the main event of one of the 2 nights with Bianca and Rhea and Bianca and Jade. That's how they view them. And they should. Like, those are their top stars. So I could absolutely see a scenario where Naomi helps Bianca win. And then that, all of a sudden, that whole friendship gets a little more complicated, right? And that's where you tie Jade back in. It's like, where do we go from here? I agree, Robert. I think that'd be a lot of fun to see how it goes with that. So, yeah, okay. So Brandon could confirm. Yeah, he did bring up Mox. Yeah. You're going to go Seth versus Roman WrestleMania 42. That's when maybe Roman finally reclaims the championship. That's the thing, right? We know eventually Roman's going to he's going to ride off into the sunset. He's going to go do movies and all this stuff. But look at the guy's schedule right now, right? He doesn't have to retire anytime soon. He doesn't have to retire before next year. Like, it's just, he can keep doing this because there's so much fuel with the stories, right? And tonight he's got 2 more years worth of stories. He can ride out and do a couple matches a year and be fine. So yeah, they could absolutely do something like that next year. So yeah, that could be interesting. So do we think that Roman's going to give Jey the follow? Hey, I don't know. Come on, man. Like, I know Roman did an interview, and that was kind of out of the question. But yeah, I think Roman certainly acknowledged Jey and talked about how happy he was for him and all that. So, but that's what I said earlier. I think, how do you tie Jey back in now with this whole thing? Roman has gotten wronged. Roman is alone. If he's in the picture, which we know he's not going to be there every single week or anything like that. But if he's in the picture, how do they connect Jey and the Usos back to him? You get the bloodline back together and all this. Like, there's a lot of ways you can go with this for sure. So, all right. Jacob's comment got me laughing a little bit on that. Ruck says, you see Seth joining The Rock. Well, we talked about it earlier and said, there's certainly been a lot of things that hinted towards that, right? I think the promos, the comments he's made, there is a lot to at least fuel the speculation that Rollins and Rock could somehow be in cahoots here, right? And that's where the Heyman dynamic now, knowing the history a year ago with Heyman and Reigns and The Rock and all that, that part of the equation was never really tied up. You never really had the loose ends tied up with sort of the Heyman and Rock dynamic, right? Because it was all about Rock and Reigns and all that, and Cody was tied in. But I think, like that could be something where somehow getting back to this and realizing, okay, they had us the whole time here. Like the way this thing's played out, Heyman is kind of the one that ties everything together because of all his relationships and I could play into it. So yeah, I mean, it's just, this gives you so much to work with. And again, I'm glad they did it this way. I really am. Like, I am way more excited now coming out of this because not that you couldn't have found reasons to be excited for Punk or Reigns to win, but to me, this is just the most compelling thing they could have done. And that's why, like, I'm thrilled to see where this goes. And especially, like we said, we may not have to wait long. Maybe tomorrow night. That may be, we may find out something bigger tomorrow night. So, yeah, I agree on this too, on the Bianca thing. I think the way they're playing this up, Bianca's never really just flat out denied it, right? And that's the thing. Anytime they just don't get that flat out denial, you got to know that there's always a possibility to get back to that. And I think even if that's not the way they play it up, even if it's just like, hey, eventually Naomi convinces Bianca that she's right, and that's where Bianca's like, I don't need Jade and all this, like, sure, you could do it that way. So, but yeah, I think I agree, Ricky. I think, I would have preferred seeing maybe Naomi win, but I just knew that they were probably going to go the route of they're not going to beat Jade one-on-one there. So, yeah, that was just kind of my thought there on that. So a lot of people weighing in with the Gunther thing. I know everybody's kind of in agreement. And now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty quick tap out for old Gunther there. Michael says he thought so too. And yeah, I thought it was a little fast. I think, and everyone kind of weighing in on this. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty quick tap out. I thought they may drag that one out a little bit, right? And they thought they may just do the pass out. I mean, that could have been something they could have done. Just have Gunther pass out. But they didn't do it. They went with the bold move and all that. So, yeah. So there you go. But there you have it. All right. Let's see what else we got here as we'll wrap up here in just a few, guys. Again, I appreciate you hanging in there. It's been a fun discussion here. Almost 50 minutes now talking about it. If you're jumping in for the first time, again, I appreciate you watching. Hit that subscribe button. Also hit the like button. Helps out the channel here. And we'll do this again tomorrow night after WrestleMania 41 Night 2. Cody Rhodes, John Cena, the main event for that one. And yeah, we'll have fun talking about that. But all right, so let's see. What else do we need to do? We've gotten your scores for tonight. What match are you most looking forward to tomorrow night? There's a question for you in the chat. Which match are you most looking forward to? Maybe as simple as saying, hey, come on, I got to see what's going to happen with Cody and Cena. What else are you looking forward to tomorrow night on the card? Let me know your thoughts on that in the chat here as we get ready to wrap up. I'll see if there's anything else we've missed in terms of anything that's happening with any of the press conference stuff, anything like that, because, okay, so it looks like I am seeing a clip here. Tiffany Stratton, it looks like she's already got the teeth fixed. It looks like someone's already done some work there and is all good with that. So, by the way, people are commenting on Jey Uso in the press conference. That's another something there apparently that's going on. So, yeah, I think that's a lot of fun. So I'll get back and kind of look at all the different things that came out of this with the press conference and just kind of the different comments coming out of it. So, all right, match you're most looking forward to. Yeah, not surprised. A lot of people weighing in with Cody versus Cena as expected with that. And the four-way, yeah, like I said, I think the four-way for sure is one that I would not sleep on at all. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And I said, I think you can see any winner coming out of that four-way, to me, there's a lot you can do no matter who wins. So, yeah, I completely agree on that. So, all right, let's see what else we've got here on this. Yeah, so Jacob, it does seem like that was the comment I saw on Jay. I don't know what's going on. I'll have to watch it, but with Jay. So, Robert says, you think Roman could interfere in Cody versus Cena? I think with Roman, this probably just completely, you would think, eliminates him from the equation because now all the focus is on Heyman and Rollins. I think now you kind of remove Roman from everything else. It's really just about what does he do now with those two? And that's where, if you do maybe have that sequence, right, where maybe Rollins gets involved or something like that tomorrow night, sure, maybe that's a possibility. If you get that same Avengers in-game type sequence at the end, just like we got last year, maybe that's going to be a Triple H staple. Maybe every single year we're going to get one of these. I'm not sure. But, yeah, you could probably see that playing out. But I think, maybe we just wait and see with Reigns what they do next on that. Will Jimmy ever turn on Jey again? I mean, this is where, you can certainly feed that idea. Now, I'm not going to bring up the idea that we're going to immediately rush to a Jimmy versus Jey singles match because I know you guys were not happy with that a year ago when we got to WrestleMania 40. I think most people, that was the response. But you can see that at some point you may have to do that again, just based on the fact that, all right, Jey has put himself in a position where he got the world championship first, that little jealousy between brothers and all this other stuff, that could play into it. So that's probably further down the road, though. I don't think you want to do that anytime soon. So, yeah, I don't think so. But, all right, let's see what else we've got here on this with you guys, what you're thinking here. Yeah, the OTC, agree, Lorenzo. OTC and Punk are going to get back at Rollins and Heyman. That is priority number one for those two, and we'll see if they can do that there. But Herb's going to go, going to go Dom winning best for the storyline, and I know you guys were asking, do I Ken Dog here? Do you see Dominic winning? That was my pick. I picked Dominic in the predictions videos we did. I just think there's a lot you can do with that. If Dominic's the champion, if Liv's the champion, then I think Finn Balor is going to just completely lose his mind at that. And I think that's probably the best direction. But I said you could also flip it the other way and say Balor winning. He gets a little too confident now in his spot in the Judgment Day, and that's where Dom brings in the new member. There's a lot of ways, I think either way you can go with it. But I like the idea of Dominic winning. And I feel like that's what sends Balor over the top completely. Judgment Day's gotta be gone at some point, right? Like at some point Judgment Day is gonna disband, and I think the sooner probably rather than later at this point, but maybe not. Maybe they just want to keep it going forever and just have new, members added and people exit and all that. But I just think this version of Judgment Day is probably, almost to that end point where you want to kind of have something new. So, yeah, that's my thought on it. But all right, let's see what else we got here going on. Yeah, I agree. It's got to be one of those two. And even though, like I said, I can make the argument for Penta winning. I mean, that would be, hey, what an accomplishment that would be. And just have a lot of great matches with Penta for the title. But story-wise, having Dom or Balor win makes more sense. And I said, get the title off Braun. Braun's he's ready for even bigger things now. I'm telling you, that guy is start to throw him in some of the main event picture, right? I mean, listen, hey, Braun and Jade got history. Remember, we know the history between those two. At some point, soon down the road, maybe little Braun and Jay for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's a possibility. So get Braun versus Gunther. One of those, hey, maybe that's your kind of match that, hey, for Jay's challenger at SummerSlam or something. Maybe that's what we work to in the summer. So, yeah. We'll see. But, all right, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, hey, going to go Carlito screwing over Finn Balor. Maybe that happens, right? So, we'll see. Mike's going to go wanting the heel Naomi Bianca alliance. I think that's coming sooner rather than later. I mean, the fans were booing Bianca out of the building last night, weren't they? So, already getting Bianca embrace that, I think, is good. So, yeah, I like that idea. Oh, here we go. There we go. You guys are weighing in. Yeah, remember we had that tease we talked about. That's months ago, right? Where they had the whole Braun Breaker Jacob Fatu tease. That's a match you're going to do at some point too. So, yeah, you got Braun doesn't need the title at this point. I mean, he won the Intercontinental Championship. He's a 2-time champion now, right? So he's just about to reach that top level. Like I said, I'm not saying he's going to main event WrestleMania next year, but Braun's about to be in the upper echelon for good. And so I think that's where we're going to be at with him. So, okay. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here in just a minute. I'm going to save my voice so we can talk more tomorrow night after WrestleMania 41 Night 2. But again, before you hop out, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. On your way out, yeah, let me know again if you haven't already what you're most excited for tomorrow night. What do you think is going to happen? Give me your predictions. Who's going to win? Cody, John Cena. There's your question on the way out. Cody versus Cena. Who wins? Who gets involved? Who interferes? All that stuff. We talked about it earlier, but give me your official, victory predictions for tomorrow. Who's going to win some of these big matches? What do you think is going to happen? Always enjoy the feedback from you guys. So be sure to leave that on your way out here. And like I said, I think overall, WrestleMania 41 Night 1, I thought was good show, but I think nothing stopping the main event. That was on a different level to me than everything else. And that's okay, because we got a huge development coming out of it with Seth Rollins benefiting from Paul Heyman screwing over CM Punk and Roman Reigns. And yeah, I think now we officially have the alliance of Rollins and Heyman. And what could we get out of that? We've already seen the other stuff kind of unfold. What's going to happen with all this? Yeah, I think, Steven, it is official. Seth Rollins is now joining with Paul Heyman with the way that thing played out. Screwed over both the guys who were getting cheered way more in Punk and Reigns. So I think that's going to happen. So so we were trying to explain it earlier. And this is kind of, what we talked about. Like, it was sort of a Heyman situation where he kind of just got tired of the bickering between the other two, right? And I think this is a great comment on the way to put it here. So I think this is tremendous. Paul got tired of being taming two badass nephews. That's perfect. So that is perfect. I agree with that. So Heyman's just like, you know what? Let these two just fight together. I'm gonna go join the guy, who's not misbehaving, even though Rollins probably has a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of how it felt. So that's a great comment. I thought on that. All right, guys, we're gonna hop off. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Check out anything else, like I said, on the channel. Go back and watch the prediction videos. I already did night 1 here, so go check out my predictions for night 2. Don't think they've changed all that much heading into tomorrow night's show. But yeah, again, I appreciate you guys supporting the channel as always. We're going to start doing a lot more of these live shows moving forward around everything when it comes to WWE stuff. So yeah, so be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button on your way out. That helps the channel here. Always appreciate you guys supporting the channel. And again, hope you enjoyed this show. Hope you enjoyed WrestleMania 41 Night 1. If you didn't, come back for WrestleMania 41 Night 2. It's going to be better, maybe. And we'll talk about it here tomorrow night. So appreciate you guys watching as always. Turn on those notifications so we go live tomorrow night. And again, thanks as always for watching. We'll talk to you soon at Wrestling Reaction.